finishing up chapter 14 by spending 2 days on word problems from this chapter, okay? Now, you already know that we spent 1 day on word problems, and this will be our second day on word problems from this chapter. Your heading for today is Word Problems Chapter 14, and be sure and include today's date. Word Problems Chapter 14, and be sure and include today's date. Now, moving on. Before we start working on problems, I need to give you a couple of thoughts. I would encourage you to write these down. Anytime I go too fast, just have the supervising teacher pause the video. Understand, it is very difficult to know how long to wait when I'm making a video. So, if anything, I would rather go too fast so you can pause it than go too slow and you're sitting there waiting for me, okay? So here we go. Thought number one. You will always need as many equations as you have unknowns. For example, if you're working on a word problem and it says find the cost of the CDs and books, and you know that you have 2 unknowns, then you're going to need how many equations? More than likely. Okay, I'm not going to say this is true every time, but you're more than likely going to need how many equations? 2. So understand, as many unknowns as you have, you will need that many equations. Okay, another thought. After you have decided what your unknowns are, try to write true statements, or in other words, just equations that contain these variables, okay? Back to my CD and book example. If you knew you bought a total of 7 CDs and books altogether, then one equation would be C for CDs plus B equals 7, okay? That would be an equation you could write down that has both unknowns, because you know you bought a total of 7 CDs and books altogether. So what you want to do is you want to try to write equations that contain these variables, alright? And a lot of this doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense, but you will understand what I'm doing once we get started here. Number 3, or lastly, since I am testing your ability, now this is really cool, so listen to me carefully. Since I am testing your ability to set up the problems correctly, you may use your calculator to solve these systems once you've set them up correctly. For example, let's say we're dealing with CDs and books. Again, let's say you bought a total of 7, so C plus B equals 7. Let's say each CD costs $10, each book costs $9, and you spend a total of $83. Something like that, okay? There we go. And I asked you to solve this. Well, remember, on your calculator, under matrices and then math. So if you hit second and then the matrix button, and go over to math, if you scroll down, you have the RREF button. And remember, you can enter this in as a matrix. 1, 1, 7, 10, 9, 83. And then do RREF to this matrix here, and the answer will pop out. So it will save you time solving these. So on word problems where you're writing systems, instead of making you solve those, you are more than welcome to use your calculators completely to solve the systems, okay? Because really, you've already shown me that we know how to do that. Now I'm testing your ability to set up the problems correctly, okay? Moving on. Let's go ahead and jump right into these. In your notes, instead of copying all this down, I would encourage you to write page 841, example number 9, okay? Page 841, example number 9, here we go. An airplane is flying into a headwind. Now that's going to slow the airplane down, okay? It travels the 2,000-mile distance between Chicopee, Massachusetts, and Salt Lake City, Utah. It makes this trip in 4 hours and 24 minutes. On the return flight, the headwind is now pushing the airplane faster, so the same distance is traveled in only 4 hours. Find the airspeed of the airplane and the speed of the wind. Assume that both remain constant. So, right away we have 2 unknowns. We have the speed of the airplane and the speed of the wind, okay? So we know we have 2 unknowns that we're looking for. More than likely, we're looking for 2 equations. Now, think back to middle school. Remember this old formula we had in middle school? rid of r, I'm going to put s. Speed times your time equals your distance. Now this formula really works in well because we're dealing with speed, time, and distance. Okay, so let's grab this formula and let's come over here. Now this is going to be a little unusual for you, so please listen carefully as I work this problem out. Now first of all, let's talk about the speed of the airplane, the speed of the wind, okay? First of all, we know the speed of, let's go ahead and get some variables designated. For the speed of the airplane, I'm going to use A. A stands for airplane. For the speed of the wind, I'm going to use W, okay? Alright, now let's talk about the speed of the airplane. Remember what I told you. In this first scenario here, where it took 4 hours and 24 minutes, remember the wind was a headwind. It was slowing down the airplane, okay? So we have the speed of the airplane minus the speed of the wind. Because the wind is slowing the airplane down. Let's say it's going 200 miles an hour into a 20-mile-an-hour wind. It's going to slow the airplane down. So there's your speed. So we have speed. Let's talk about that again. I'm afraid you're a little confused. Listen, we have speed times time equals distance. I'm going to pull this up top, get it out of the way, but yeah, we can see it, okay? So I just put my speed first, and here's my speed. Speed of the airplane minus the wind times the time. Now how long did it take them? 4 hours and 24 minutes. Now 4 hours and 24 minutes would be the same thing as 4 and what? 24 over 60. Now 24 over 60 reduces to 0.4 or 2/5. So you really have 4 and 2/5. So we're going to put 22 over 5 for the time. That would be hours, okay? 22/5 hours. So here's my speed right here. Here's my time right here. So speed times time equals what? Distance. Now, on the way back, the wind is behind the airplane, pushing it. It's going faster. So look, that's why it only took 4 hours. Instead of 4 hours and 24 minutes, you're going faster. So the speed now would be speed of the airplane plus the wind. The wind is making it go faster. Times, that's your speed. Next would come your time. Now your time was how long for this trip? 4 hours. And the distance stayed the same, 2,000 miles. Now students, I can save you a lot of time by having you type this into your calculators, but first we must simplify our two equations. So take your 22/5 and multiply it through. So we have 22/5 A minus 22/5 W equals 2,000. And here we take our 4, we multiply it through. 4A plus 4W equals 2,000. Now, I would like you to go ahead and enter this into your calculator very quickly as a matrix. Guys, you can do this so quickly. You just simply hit second matrix, remember, and then scroll over to edit. If I'm going too fast, just pause the video. Hit second matrix, scroll over to the right to edit, and then scroll down to whatever matrix you're going to use. I'm going to use matrix A. Now, our matrix is a 2 by 3. We have 2 rows, 3 columns, so 2 by 3. And then enter, your matrix would look like this, 22/5, negative 22/5, 2,000, and then 4, 4, 2,000. So very quickly, I'm going to type 22 divided by 5, enter, and then negative 22 divided by 5, enter, and then 2,000. Then down to the second row, 4, enter, 4, enter, 2,000, enter. Alright, now, after you've entered this into your calculator as a matrix, it's so easy to solve. Listen, guys, hit second, quit, and come out of your matrices, okay? Then hit second matrix, scroll over to math, then scroll down all the way down till you get to RREF. Hit enter on that, and this will pop up on your screen. And then hit second matrix, and for me I use matrix A, so I'm going to hit enter on matrix A. So now my screen says this, and then close your parentheses, and then hit enter. And when you do that, you're going to get this matrix right here, a 1, a 0, a 0, a 1, and right here 477.3 and 22.8. So there we go. We did it, students. That easy, okay? Here's the speed of the airplane, 477 miles per hour. And here's the speed of the wind, 22.8 miles per hour. Okay? That's how you can use your calculator so quickly to solve these systems, okay? Don't let this sink in. You're going to have to know how to do these, okay? You got some pretty tough word problems tonight in your homework. You have 10 of them, and they're pretty challenging. Okay, go ahead and write in your notes, page 842, example number 10. The demand and supply functions for a calculator are, okay, supply and demand. Now, I want you to find the point of equilibrium, okay? So as you're copying this down, listen to me. The point of equilibrium is simply, excuse me for yawning, sorry. The point of equilibrium is simply the price P and the number of units that satisfy both the demand and supply equations. In other words, it's so simple, guys. When I ask you to find the point of equilibrium, I'm just simply asking you to find an ordered pair that satisfies both equations. So what you really have here is simply a system, and the point of equilibrium is just find the value of x so that you get out the same p. Find the value of x so that you, and actually, students, there should be a number, there should be another zero right here. I just saw, that's why I kind of paused. There should be another zero right here, 0.00002x. I thought that looked, that's why I paused, it looked a little weird. There we go. But all that you're trying to do is find the value of x, so that gives you out the same p, okay? And so really it's pretty simple to do. I mean, they're both equal to p, so look, if this here equals p, then pick this up and put it in for p and solve it. That's going to be faster than using your calculator, okay? So I'm going to get rid of this p right here. Get rid of this p here. I'm going to grab this and put it in place of my p right up here, alright? Hopefully that's what I'm going to do. Well, maybe we'll do that. How's that? Alright, there we go. Now, look, students, bring your 60 over to the right side and you're left with 90. Bring your negative 0.00001 over and it becomes positive, so you have 0.00003x. Okay? And then divide 90 by this number. And you will get 3 million for your x. So x equals 3 million. Now, we're going to put that back in for x up here. And by the way, you can put it in for this x here, or for this x here, either way, and you'll get the same answer. And what you will get out if you put 3 million in for x and simplify, you will get this right here for p. $120. So, 3 million units. 3 million units is the x value. That's how many units you need so that your p, the price for your demand and supply functions is the same. So you could also write your answer like an ordered pair. 3,120,000. So the point of equilibrium is you're finding an x value that gives you out the same p, or whatever the variables might be. You're trying to find an ordered pair that satisfies both equations, and that's called the point of equilibrium. Okay, one more problem. Now I'm going to turn you loose on your homework because I really, really, really want you working on your homework and practicing. Okay, it's very important. I'm just laying down fundamentals again. So here we had two unknowns. I wrote two equations. I solved them. Here I gave you the two equations and I asked you to find the point of equilibrium. Now this last one, I personally believe is the hardest one, okay? So here we go. You do not need to turn your books if you don't want to this page. However, if you want to, feel free to, okay? It's up to you. But I would write this in your notes, page 853, example 9, okay? An inheritance of $12,000 was invested among three funds: a money market fund, municipal bonds, and mutual funds. Okay, the amount invested in the mutual funds was 4,000 more than the amount invested in municipal bonds. The total interest earned during the first year was 1120. How much was invested in each type of fund? Okay, stop right there. Look what it says. How much was invested in each type of fund? How many funds do I have? 3. So how many unknowns am I going to have? 3. So I'm probably going to need 3 equations. Now, let's give variables to our unknowns. Let's call the money market fund X. Let's call the municipal bonds Y. And let's call the mutual funds Z. Now, you're probably kind of new to this, although you might have done some of these in Algebra 2. But we need to come up with 3 equations because we have 3 unknowns. Now, remember what each variable stands for. It's how much was invested in each type of fund. In other words, X, you put X amount of money in the money market. You put Y amount of money in the municipal bonds, and you put Z amount of money in mutual funds. So here's one equation. This is a true statement. Here it is. X plus Y plus Z equals what? 12,000. Because think about it, students. That's all we had to invest. We only had 12,000 to invest. So if I take all the money I invested in money markets, if I take all my money I invested in municipal bonds, if I take all my money that I invested in mutual funds, and I add them all up, it has to be 12,000. That's all I had to spend. So there's one equation. Now, reading on, the amount invested in mutual funds was 4,000 more than the amount invested in municipal bonds. Now, please just learn to read the sentence and write the equation. Now watch. Mutual funds. Well, what is mutual funds? Z, right here. So mutual funds, I'm going to put a Z. The mutual funds were, or is, or was. They're all forms of the word is, just past, present, future. Is means equals. So mutual funds is, or mutual funds were, or mutual funds was. That means equals. So put an equal sign. Mutual funds equaled 4,000 more than. So we know we're going to add 4,000. Let's start over and look at this again. Mutual funds, that's Z, was or is or equals 4,000 more, so I'm going to add 4,000, than the amount invested in municipal bonds. Well, municipal bonds is Y, so Z equals Y plus 4,000. Okay, now, this is your second equation, alright? Now, let's see if we come up with a third equation here. And I think I see it right here. Look, it tells you how much what percentage was given to you. X, money market, was 5% annually. So I'm going to take my X and multiply it by 0.05. Plus Y was paid 6% annually. So 0.06 Y. Plus Z was paid 12% annually. So 0.12 Z. So look what we're doing here. I'm taking the amount that I invested times 5%, the amount that I invested times 6%, the amount that I invested times 12%. If you add all that up, that's your interest. That's your interest. And how much total interest did you earn from all 3? 1,120. Pretty cool, okay? So let's start up here. First of all, X plus Y plus Z is 12,000 because X is the amount of money you invested. Y is the amount of money you invested. Z is the amount of money you invested. Here, I take the amount of money I invested times 5%, take the amount of money you invested times 6%, take the amount of money you invested times 12%, add all of this up, and this is your interest. And how much interest did you gain? 1,120. And don't forget where this formula or this equation came from. Right here, okay? Mutual funds, that's Z, was or is equals 4,000 more than Y, municipal bonds. So Y plus 4,000 now. That's what I was trying to tell you guys. This is going to take a lot of work if I make you work these out. But once you get the equation set up, you're welcome to use the REF button on your calculator. Now, you want to change the order of this, guys. This is really not in good order, okay? So, what you want is to bring the Y over and make it negative. So you have negative Y plus Z equals 4,000. 4,000. Now why do I want to do that? Because we're going to enter these three equations into our calculator as a matrix in just a couple seconds here. And you want to have your x's, then your y's, then your z's, equal sign, then your constant term. So bring your y over, make it a negative y. Negative y plus z equals 4,000. Okay, let me get my eraser out here. Let's get rid of this second equation here. Alright, there we go. Now, if you were to enter this into your calculator, it would look like this. You would have 12,000. You would have 0, negative 1, 4,000. And then 0.05, 0.06, 0.12, and then 11, 20. Okay? So, very quickly with your calculator, I'm going to go very fast. Enter this into your calculator. So, second matrix, go over to edit, and then down to whatever matrix you want to use. This is a 3 by 4, so 3 by 4. Then 12,000. And then 0, negative 1, 4,000. And then 0.05, 0.06, 0.12, and then 11, 20. And then I always encourage my students to check and make sure you've entered everything correctly if you're able to do that, okay? Okay, now go ahead and come out of your matrix, then go back in and go to your math. Scroll down to RREF. And you should get this right here. If you hit enter on that, you will get RREF, gives this matrix here. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. And you have 2,000 here, 3,000 here, 7,000 here. So this is your X. So you invested in the money market. You invested $2,000. Next is your Y. Y is your municipal bonds, and you invested $3,000 there. And then your last answer here is 7,000. That would be your mutual funds. So your mutual funds, you invested 7,000. And there we go. Notice it adds up to 12,000. Okay, so that's it, guys. Your whole well, first of all, let me say this. I hope this video's been a help to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email. And just make sure you work hard on your homework and really, really learn to do these problems on your own.